Hey everybody, it's Jim from Jim's Coleus checking in. I'm going to try to at least do a video every week to keep up with you guys, or have you guys keep up with me, whichever way you want to look at it. If you're following along, you're growing Coleus along with me. That way, you can sort of gauge. It's hard to gauge really how between my Coleus and your Coleus. Because obviously, unless you live in New Jersey and you planted them same time as I, there's so many different variables on how your plants will grow and so forth. So if your plants are ahead of mine, congratulations. If you're behind me, don't feel as though you're doing something wrong or your plants are dying or not. It's been a very cool spring. I've said it to in my past couple of videos. This has been a very cool spring. Either that, or I might just have been a little impatient to get going this year. We all know we're all been stuck inside, so it's probably a combination of there. And each year I try to overdo my previous year, try to come up with some things a little different and so forth. So I guess I'm getting a little more critical of my own abilities and so forth. So anyway, I got some Jim's Coleus t-shirts. If you're interested in getting one, just shoot me a comment. I was toying around with the fact maybe or with the notion of maybe opening up a little Jim's Coleus merchandise thing, but we gotta see what kind of interest we got, you know. So main thing is Coleus. So okay, so this is everything I have, and so you don't have to look at my ugly face anymore. We're gonna go and switch it around and take a look at everything. I put everything out on the table. Again, I do this to harden the Coleus. These Coleus eventually are gonna be in somebody's pot. Again, you don't have to place your Coleus outside. If you wanna put it in, I recommend pots. Pots are the best. You can absolutely keep your Coleus indoors, bright window. Think of a location. I get some comments or questions about, can I keep it indoors all the time? Absolutely. What's an ideal location in your home for your Coleus plant? Think of a greenhouse. Think of a nice, bright, airy greenhouse. Lots of glass, lots of light coming in. That's what your Coleus needs. So find a room in your home, bay window, a dining room, maybe a living room, a foyer, that gets a lot of bright light. Doesn't have to be direct sun all the time, because that's a little harsh on your Coleus, but you want as bright a light location as possible. So that's your ideal. And let's go take a look at some Coleus. I'm going to go over anything again. I'm hardening these. Just got a little rain shower, very, very light, which is fine. I just gave them a little shot of Miracle Grow, and I'm going to go over everything. And again, weekly, I go over everything. There's always going to be something to do to get these going. It's been, again, as I mentioned earlier in the video, it's been a slow start, a little cool. I feel like they're behind a few weeks, which I think they are, but they're really starting to explode now. So starting to get some humidity in here, and heat and humidity is the key, and taking care of them, watering, and so forth. That goes for all your plants. If you see a house that has beautiful flowers, pots, grass, beautiful, it's beautiful like that because they take care of them. They give them some attention. They don't just put them in the ground and walk away. You need to water your plants. You need to water your grass, and that's really it. So okay, so let's go take a look. Okay, so I'm going to really run down my table here. I'm going to take it kind of slow so you guys can take this all in. Again, this is everything I have. Now these are just some pots that I created. I have my singles down the end here. We'll get to them, and I try to get as many, as many Coleus, as many pots, different type of style pots as I can. I try to find a little something different every year, and I keep certain ones I keep all the time. Like again, I mentioned plenty of times, I love these wavy plastics, square pots. They're a little top heavy. They could be a little frustrating in the greenhouse on the rack, so I got to be careful what I put them because they do fall over easily. but when you're at home on a table, they're fine. It's just, you know, on a unstable grilled rack, they may be a little, they need to really be on a nice flat surface. Something like this is, but anything that's really, generally a little top heavy, but that's fine. And you can see they're at various stages. There's some, and this is fine actually, because when I go do my farmer's market, as much as I want to bring everything I can, I don't. I pick and choose and say, okay, this one here is ready to go. This one needs another couple of weeks. So, and that gives me a chance to bring something new to each week that I do my farmer's market. So, but you can see we got some really explosive growth and color. Now, let me get over here to these other small planters. These are really nice, these little things, and look at that. I mean, it's a, you know, whether you want to, you know, say you work in an office building, you got a nice light area, or you can even bring this to work with you if that's your thing. But or keep a little grow light at your desk. But as long as you have some light, these will do fine. And you got this one here, needs to be cut. So you're going to have these. It's nice little aluminum. There's a Saturn. Remember this one? If you look in my earlier videos, this is just a little rooting. Had a couple of leaves on it. And she's really coming out nicely. Really filling out nice. Some other ones are a little slower, and again, that's fine. Got lots of room to fill in these big pots. These are getting as high as they can. I'm going to keep trimming that top, not letting it grow any higher. There's some more. And these ovals, they need to fill out more to really look good, like that one there. There you go. That's beautiful. And these, again, these are Kong Coleus, my favorite. That's a Kong also. You see there's a little bit of difference. So, and that's the excitement of Kongs, is every one of them, no matter, you know, these all came from the same seed, plant, but they just genetically, whatever, they'll get different colors. A little darker, a little less pink in the middle, got that middle more splash of pink. Same thing with these here. So here's that red. Really going crazy, red pot. Is that beautiful? And I just gave them a light shot of the Miracle Grow. This here in the green. Generally, you use 2 of the tablespoons that they give you inside the box. Comes with a scooper. Use 2 per 2.5 gallon water thing. I only used 1. I don't want to burn them, so, but I do want to give them a jump start. The only one negative, I mean, you see a lot of, some of these are real leggy. Once they start getting really large like this, these little nursery pots can kind of work against you because the roots are they're aggressive roots. They really start taking over all of the soil and a lot of nutrients. So that's why I gave them a good shot of Miracle Grow. A little time this time, but you can see there's still more trimming needs to be done. These are flopping over here, so they need to be trimmed. And that's another reason why I put these all out on the table, so we can survey every one of them and see what needs to be trimmed. And it's like, I like to organize. I'm just by my nature, I like to be organized with my things. And this is how I can't be at peace or rest with my Coleus unless I do this at least once a week. And just so I know that every single one of these are being taken care of, trimmed, so forth. Some larger than others. Now I have these in trays here just because that's how I store them, to bring them out here. Otherwise it'd take me all day to put these out. But I try to keep them separated in the greenhouse if I can. But when they start getting this, but as I create more and more larger pots, the more room I have to spread them out. But they're doing fine. They're fine. As you can see, there's plenty here that need to be trimmed again. And I tell you, when you grow this many Coleus and it's just yourself, like me, it takes time. And you work I'm lucky I have a pretty decent work schedule, although I don't really get much sleep. So, okay, enough about me. Let's go. As you can see, I mentioned in my other videos how I really love these Kongs. So I grew an awful lot because I find that people really love them. So why not? That's the name of the game. So, all right, so let's go down here below. Got some, I still have a few empties I'm gonna create. And these fill out really, really nice. Window box planters. Okay, and here I got some hanging baskets. And I still have a bunch of empties that I gotta create still. But they take up a lot of room. I hang them all up, I'm obviously in my greenhouse. They take a lot of room out, so I just create them as I go. And at this point, I'm not really, I'm pruning somewhat, but like that one there, I'm just gonna prune the very top coming in. I'm not letting it get any higher. That's it, but I'm not touching anything else here. Unless a leaf gets ripped, or you know, if there's insect damage. But again, I'm lucky with the insects. But at this point, I'm leaving this because I want this to be huge. I want this, when I hang this up and someone goes to look at it, it just grabs their mind, and they don't sit and wonder for 5 minutes whether or not they want the plant. They grab it. So that's my hanging baskets for now. Here's a monster. Again, I had mentioned, the bigger the pot, you put a little more Coleus in it, the bigger your plant. This is gonna, and this is early. Remember, this is early. It's just June. It's been so cold. It really didn't have much of a warm spring. Got the whole spring, got the whole rest of spring, got the whole summer and fall. And fall in New Jersey has been very hot up to October. So we got so much more time. Imagine what these are going to look like inside 2 months. Just going to be crazy. This is going to be huge. Wait, just if you're following along, just remember this. Remember this plant. Remember this Coleus. Remember these as I shoot the videos each week. As I shoot these videos, just remember these and play it back and forth. And you can see how they grow. How amazing, how fast. Once they get in. Once they're in pots, and you start taking care of them, they really start to take off. These I just made up. Like I said, these are a nice medium size, nice statement. You know, you got a deck maybe. Maybe you don't have a big deck, but you want something that's really going to grab someone's attention. That's it. This is going to fill out so nicely. And again, it's short. I'm going to let it keep growing. I'm not trimming the tops on this one yet. I want it to get really a little higher. And it's got plenty of growth coming in. This is a really nice healthy Coleus, so we're just going to keep doing what we're doing on this one. Keep an eye on it. Don't let it get too high so it falls all over. Got a couple over here that are really top. They're really, you know, up top. Still some stubborn Coleus. Don't want to get any undergrowth coming in, but we're maintaining faith on those. There we go. We got some coming in. This is Saturn. As I had mentioned, when I design my pots, you really look at the Coleus I have, and I try to make up a nice color pot arrangement. Those are beautiful. I like these. This is a Kong variation, but it has more of the white and that splash of pink in the center. It's a little different than, you know, like these, obviously, or this variation of Kong. You know, this is the same thing. It's just that it has obviously the white, less white, and the pink it's more the genes of the plant. You have a little less pink and more white. So beautiful Coleus. Great colors. And these, what's nice about these is this is your alternative to cut flowers, or if you live in an area that doesn't get a lot of sun, this is your alternative. And these are just great little pots for your patio, or maybe you live on a condo and you have a little deck. You say you live on an apartment building and you have a little little patio and you don't have a lot of room, you put one of these on there and it's not going to take up a lot of space. Just remember, these can be raised in direct sun, but remember, the smaller your pot, the faster it's going to dry out. So I don't recommend a little Coleus like this to be left out in full sun all day. Something like this, as it gets older, or your hanging baskets, the larger hanging baskets. But something like this can withstand a lot of sun. Now you may get home from work and you're going to find this all drooped over completely from the sun. Give it a water and it'll come right back. But these little guys here are going to dry out really fast, and you don't want your Coleus to go through the cycle of continuous, complete dried out where there's absolutely no moisture, and then water and then complete dry out. You don't want to do that because that's not healthy for the plant either. So you want to make sure, try to maintain some moisture, and that's why the good quality Miracle Grow moisture control potting mixture is good, because it has, at least has moisture crystals that the plant can still live off of. So, all right, but I recommend that you keep it. Make sure they get some sunlight in the morning or late afternoon, or a mixture of sun and shade. That's, I find on my patio deck, my one Coleus that's next to the Rose of Sharon tree gets some sun in the afternoon. In the morning, it's more in the shade, and then in the late afternoon it gets a nice shot of sun. It does really well. So that's your go-to, and every Coleus is different too. Some of them, I find the darker, more delicate ones, like the trailing Coleus, which I don't grow, those don't do as well. The smaller, delicate Coleus don't do as well in the sun as these bigger, broadleaf, heavy-duty Coleus. That's why I like Kongs so much. That's why other people like Kongs. And this is a Defiance. This does really well in full sun as well. But again, this is a small pot, smaller arrangement. I had a larger arrangement, the mother plant, that was huge, and it did really, really well in the sun. There's the jitters. Again, I mentioned in I think all of my hanging baskets have jitters in them. That one has a little more red. There's the jitters and the finger paint. This is a beautiful, that's a 12-inch. That's the only 12-inch hanging basket I have. That's got gorgeous, gorgeous hanging basket. That's going to really, really knock someone out. So, but as you can see, here's a jitters here. See how it's already hanging down? It's a little less red. And I got some greens here, greens and whites. I know there was a painted nettle. I'll show you what a painted nettle looks like. This here, that green and white, that's a painted nettle. I have a few of those. Here's a perfect example. Look at this here. If this has happened to you, damage, we broke this Coleus in half. See, that's broken. So what you do, if this happens to you, just cut that. Cut these little, let's take this off here. Okay, so this just broke off. Trim off those little new leaves coming in. Get rid of those. I would cut the two larger leaves and put this into a little cup of water. Make sure you watch it. Make sure it has water. Let it root inside of 4 or 5 days. Let it root, and then I'll put this right back into another pot this size, and we're back in business. So that's the beauty of the Coleus plant. Very hard to die. So let's make sure we don't forget about that. Some dark from a Wizard mix. these leaves grow really, really large. So I'll put these in a pot, a larger pot. These grow, as you can see, they're just very aggressive, very thick stem. They grow very, very large. There's a Defiance. It's hard to tell when they're kind of bunched up in here. There's a Painted Nettle. It's got a little pink in it. So, I don't know if that's really a Painted Nettle though. Could be just a Kong, but it's just a light. Has a little bit of neon green. And some greens. Okay, so if you're following along, there's a Painted Nettle. If you're following along and you have any questions, you feel free to comment. Again, I mentioned I get a lot of comments between YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook. Try to keep up. Again, I don't get notification on everything, so if you want to, if you're an Instagram user, look me up on Instagram, Jim's Holiest of Coleus. You can get in touch with me there direct, and you can also send me photos if you have a question, a specific question, because some questions are very hard to answer. There may be a generality, and I may need to know a little more detail, because every question depends on where you live, your conditions, you know, what part of the world you live in. So, I hope your Coleus is doing well. Okay, everybody, thanks for following along, and I hope everything's going well with your Coleus. And stay tuned till next week.